Today we're going to be doing systems of elimination, so let's go ahead and get started with that. What we're trying to do is we're trying to eliminate a variable. We're either trying to eliminate the x or we're trying to eliminate the y. Now, usually when we do this, we're either going to add the two lines or we're going to subtract the two lines. Because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to either eliminate the x to get 0x or I'm trying to eliminate the y to get 0y. So let's go ahead and start off with this one. What you'll notice here is at the top you've got a negative 2y and at the bottom you've got a positive 2y. So if I'm able to add these two lines, what's going to happen is I'm going to have negative 2 plus positive 2. That's going to give me 0y. That's good because that's what I'm trying to get. So let's go ahead and add these two lines and see what we get on both sides. If I were to add the x's, I got negative 4x plus positive 3x. That's going to give me negative 1x. If I add the negative 2y and the positive 2y, I'm going to get 0y. And if it's 0y or if it's 0x, I'm actually not going to put anything under there. Bring down your equal sign. And since we're adding the two lines, we're adding 12 and negative 8. If you add those two numbers, you're going to get positive 4. And then you just solve the equation and continue on until you get one variable isolated. In this case, it's going to be the x. Now, since I'm multiplying x by negative 1, the opposite of multiplying is dividing, so I'm going to divide both sides by this negative 1 right here. And when I do that, the x comes down, the equal sign comes down, and I have 4 divided by negative 1. That's just going to give me negative 4. So now I know what my x is. Now we're going to figure out what y is. And the way we do that is we can plug this back into whichever equation we want. We can either put it into the top or the bottom, depending on which one is easiest and which one is hardest. I'm just going to go ahead and choose the bottom equation. So let me go ahead and write it out over here. It's 3x plus 2y equals negative 8. So now what I've got is, I know my x is negative 4. So wherever I see an x right here, I can replace it with a negative 4. Because I know for a fact that x is going to be negative 4. So right here, instead of having an x, I'm going to have a negative 4. So let's go ahead and rewrite that. 3 times negative 4 plus 2y, that hasn't changed, equals negative 8. So none of this stuff has changed right here. So let's go ahead and try this. 3 times negative 4, that's going to give me negative 12. I still got my plus 2y is equal to negative 8. I want to get y by itself, so let's try this first. To get rid of a negative 12, I have to add it to both sides. So let's add 12 to both sides to get rid of that. And then we'll see what happens. These cancel out. My 2y gets brought down. And negative 8 plus 12 is going to give me positive 4. And now I'm almost at my y answer. I've just got to divide both sides by 2. So that way, the y comes down with nothing in front of it. And 4 divided by 2 is going to give me 2. Alright, so I know my x is negative 4, I know my y is positive 2, so the way I'm going to write my answer is like an ordered pair. I'm going to put the x number first, and I'm going to separate them with a comma, and then I'm going to put the y number last. And that's how it's done. Once you got your ordered pair, you are done. Now, of course, you can plug these numbers back in to check them with both of the equations, but I'm going to let you do that. For number 2, notice how the numbers match up. We've got a negative 2y on top, and we've got a negative 2y at the bottom. So, because the numbers match up, if I were to add these two lines, negative 2 plus negative 2 would give me negative 4y. But remember, I'm trying to either get 0x or 0y. So I'm not going to be adding this time. Instead, I'm going to be subtracting. Now, whenever I subtract the two lines, I always put the negative inside of a parentheses. just so I don't confuse it with any other negative that might be in front, like this one right here. But let's go ahead and subtract these two lines. For the x's, we know that 6 minus negative 5 is actually going to give me positive 11. Negative 2y minus negative 2y, that's going to give me 0y, so I don't have to write it, just like we did last time. And then 6 minus 17 is going to give me negative 11. Okay? So now what we've got is, we've got 11x equals negative 11. I divide both sides by what's in front of the x, so I'm going to divide both sides by 11. And when I do that, I get x equals negative 1. Okay? Now, let's plug this back into whichever equation we want. I'm going to choose the top equation this time. So let's rewrite the top equation. I've still got that 6x minus 2y is equal to 6. Now, since I know for a fact that x is negative 1, that means that wherever I see an x up here, I can just replace it with negative 1. So let's do that. Go ahead and replace the x with negative 1, but keep everything else the same. And then just go about it like you normally do. 6 times negative 1, that's going to give me negative 6. Everything else still stays the same. I'm trying to get y by itself, so let's get rid of this first. I get rid of a negative 6 by adding 6 to both sides, right? So let's do that. So now I get 12 over here. I still got equals negative 2y. And of course, the negative 6 plus 6 is just going to go away. It's going to go to 0, so I don't even need to write the 0. Now I'm going to divide by negative 2 because that's what's in front of the y. And then once I divide by negative 2, I get negative 6. So now I know what my x is, I know what my y is, I can write them in that ordered pair like I did last time. So the x number comes first, separate them out with commas, I put the negative 6 second. Alright, so that's how you do elimination. You're either going to be adding the two lines or you're going to be subtracting the two lines. Okay? Now, let's look at your homework for tonight. For tonight, your first two questions are going to be adding. These are going to be adding. You're going to add the two lines to eliminate the y and to eliminate the y right here. The last two are going to be subtracting questions. You're going to be subtracting the two lines. Because you can notice quite clearly that for number 3, if you got a positive 2 and a positive 2, if you were to add those instead of subtracting, you get 4y. That's not good. I want to get 0y. And the only way I can get that is by subtracting the two lines, right? Same way down here. I've got a negative 2y, I've got a negative 2y. If I was to add those instead of subtracting, I would get negative 4y. Not good. I'm trying to get 0y, right? I'm either trying to get 0x or I'm trying to get 0y, based on which coefficients match up. So if I was to subtract instead, like I want you to do, you get negative 2 minus negative 2 is 0. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to eliminate either the x or the y, and we're trying to do that by either adding or subtracting. And that's it. That's elimination.